All right, ready. I just walked in from making a short video on the tiki bar I'm making outside. I have a few minutes before I got to start my evening, so I thought I would make a quick video on my initial thoughts on some automatic knives I just picked up. I've always had a couple. State I live in, you can own them, but you can't carry them. But they just changed that law in July. So now you can carry automatic knives legally. So I've always had this guy. This is a Benchmade. It is the Mel Pardue version. I've had this thing for probably 20 years. I carry this in my fifth pocket as just a complete backup knife. But I keep it clean and oiled, and it is super snappy. For such a small little knife, and being as old as it is, I have never replaced the spring. I have tightened the spring on it, but that knife has been with me for many years. It does have a safety on it, which I do kind of appreciate. You lock that safety, it's not going to open. Push it forward. It's not a. There we go. Actually, got to pull it back. I feel like it should be pushed forward. It's more instinctive for me would be to push it forward to unlock it, but you got to pull it back to unlock it. I usually keep it unlocked, to be honest with you. I've never had it deploy in my pocket. I mean, it could. It does take a lot of pressure to get that going, but that is super snappy for such an old knife. Benchmades are pretty good knives. I do have an Infidel, but I think it's complete garbage. It's just a piece of junk. I mean, it rattles. It doesn't deploy half the time. If you get a speck of dirt in that thing, it's gunked up. So I have it, but I would never carry it. I would not trust it, but I would trust this knife. So this is the one I've had for a very long time. I have 3 knives in front of me that I just recently purchased and have been carrying. My first one I bought because I'm very nostalgic and I grew up on these knives. And this is the Buck 110 Auto. Now, when I got this knife, it would not deploy, and it's a very lazy. It is lazy when it deploys anyway. But I have been playing with it. I've lubed it up, and it does deploy now, pretty much all the time. I just play with it all the time. Now, this is not a knife that I'm typically going to be carrying because no clip. It is fairly heavy, and I bought it because I just liked the way it looked. Years ago, I bought one and converted it over to an auto, but I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine. But I do have a bunch of 110s that I grew up on, and I did actually order this from a guy on Etsy who custom makes sheaths for the 110s and a bunch of other knives. I'm not a big fan of the sheath that it comes with. It looks kind of cheap to me. But this one, as you can see, is shaped to fit, and instead of a snap, you have a slide. So I feel like I will carry this, like if I'm riding, if I'm on one of my motorcycles. I could see me carrying that, like back, 3/4 back, around the corner of my back. It's not something you're gonna get too fast, but it is a nice knife, and it is pretty sharp right out of the box. And again, I do really like this sheath. When I looked online just to find somebody made custom sheaths for them, and this one really jumped out at me. And I like the brass bolstering and stuff. Kind of matches the brass on here. I really look forward to this patinaing up good. But yeah, great knife. You know, lifetime warranty. I don't even think you have to be the original owner. But they'll always warranty it. The only downside of it is it's kind of a lazy opening, and for me, I feel like I should be able to push the button to unlock it, but I know it is a back lock, so I do find myself trying to push the button, but then it is a back lock. So, but yeah, it's a cool knife. I'll show you what it looks like in the case. It does have one way in because it is a formed case. So as you can see, that's how it goes in, and then you can slip it right over like that, and it obviously has a belt loop on the back. It's very cool. This will be just an occasional carry, but it was like an impulse buy. I was getting automatic knives and it popped up, and I'm like, they finally made an automatic knife, but I think they've been around for years. I just didn't know it. So, all right, now into the real toys. These are I've been carrying every day, and they're amazing. I'm going to start with my second to favorite one. This is not my favorite one. Now, this is the Protech TR3. This one does have a safety on it. So if you push the safety forward, it's locked. Again, if you pull it back, unlocks. This is about a 3.5 inch blade. This is the military issue with the safety. I have seen them all blacked out. This one, if you look really close, it does have protech on it. And it does tell you 154 cm metal. It is all blacked out, has the fish scale scales on it, fish scales. I have seen them with, I think it's tritium, like fluorescent little thing in it so that you can see the button when in the complete dark. I don't really need that, but it is super snappy. I mean, that is, I've never had a protech or a microtech. I'm more of a, you know, I like the flippers and regular liner lock knives. I've got Medfords and I've got Chris Reeves and that kind of stuff. But now that these are legal to carry, I'm going to start carrying these, especially this knife right here. This is a great knife. Fits great in my hand. I got huge hands, and fits great. The only thing I would change about this particular knife is I would like some jimping on the blade up here, and I do like a swell back at the end of the knife so that I can choke up on it. This one does not have it, obviously, but it's good for what it is. It's very simple, and I like the pocket clip is very, very strong on it. It's got a really good edge on it. I'm not like a metal snob or anything. As long as it'll hold an edge for a while and it doesn't rust up on me, I don't really care what it's made out of, because everything now is a super steel compared to what it was 20 years ago. So again, super, super snappy. If you've never seen these Protechs or handled one, it's definitely next level, and just the fit and finish on it is great. When you do, when the blade is closed, it is centered perfectly. It's just a very simple knife, and it doesn't look like it has those you know, special screws that you need a special tool from the company. They look like, I mean, I can't really tell. Pitch dark in my house, no matter where the lights are on. They look like they might be Allen screws. So super simple to take apart if you had to and clean it. So that's my second favorite. I've been carrying this one a lot, but the next one is the one I've been carrying pretty much almost every day since I bought it, because the fidget factor is just awesome, and I'm sure probably most of you could probably guess what it is. It's an OTF, the microtech, and this is the Combat Tradoon. And for itself, I mean, just check that thing out. How awesome is that? I like a serration on the blade because I do cut a lot of rope, and just having the, you know, that stiletto style of a blade, it's just awesome. And people were like my dad, when I told him I bought it, he's like, aren't you afraid it's going to deploy in your pocket? And I'm like, this to me is like a center fire pistol, like a Glock. That you pull the trigger is the safety on it. It basically has it's like half cocked. This is what that feels like. I handed this to a buddy of mine, and he had to literally use two hands to open it. I mean, that's not going to go off accidentally in your pocket. You got to really mean to open that thing up. But when it does open, I would not want to put this up against my hand or my neck or something and open that. I'm sure it would stop, but that's going to puncture a hole in you at the speed that thing comes out. And I watched a ton of videos on both of these knives before I pulled the trigger on either one of them, because they're super expensive for a knife. But I mean, I have Chris Reeves and Medford knives, so it's all relative. But this one was, $550. but I really feel like it's worth it. I do like having a glass breaker or a persuader on the back of my knife. Like I have Winkler knives too, fixed blades, but for what this is, this thing is great. And I like the pocket clip is very strong on it. It does have the proprietary screws in it though. I'm sure you gotta buy a special tool, but from what I saw on the video, you basically just gotta spray some gun oil in it, and you can blow it out with air, and that pretty much fixes most of your issues with deployment. And this deployed super fast. As soon as I bought it, no issues at all. I mean, that is fast. And it does have just a little bit of blade play, as all, you know, out the front knives do. I did kind of think about buying the new SOG OTF, because it's supposed to lock up about as best as it could, but apparently it's not lined up well, and as it's leaving the body, it's basically dulling the knife, and it had some other issues, and SOG is kind of anyway. I do have their flipper that's shaped like a what is it, like a K-bar. That's a really nice knife. It's just a little big, and it does have that those axis springs or whatever that like Benchmade has in them. I don't really trust those over time, but anyway, that's another story. But great little knife, or should I say big knife? That's a big knife. Super snappy. I was gonna say something, and now it just totally lost my mind. Oh, I did look at basically the only knife better than this one, I think, in my opinion, from looking at videos, is the Deadlock, custom made out the fronts, and they started like $1,500 or something. I think it was in the last John Wick movie. They're supposed to have complete lockup, no blade play at all, but you basically got to sell your kidney to get it and be on a wait list forever, and thank your lucky stars that you were graced to actually be able to own one. And that's a little too bougie for me. I'm happy with the protech and the microtechs, and my little Benchmade. Like this little guy, he will always stay in my fifth pocket. And my Benchmade, my Buck 110 auto, I will carry it, usually on the bike probably. So anyway, that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Just initial thoughts on the knives, and I would recommend all of them if you were to buy one for their individual purposes. They all have a great purpose, different from each other. OTF, out the side, great, and great. Carry them both. But anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.